Imagine yourself as a small Asian woman, graduated in her early 20s, got a career as a registered nurse, get married at 25, have kids, and live in a big house. What would life be like?
Have you ever had a dreams that you
Hello everyone, my name is Chelimix, and welcome back to my channel. So who I just described to you would never be me. That will never be me. I would never be a registered nurse. I don't have kids. I don't even have a husband. Oh my god, I don't even have anyone in my life right now. Actually, maybe. And the reason why I bring this up is because of the pressure that a lot of people have been facing for generations now. In our society, by the time you're 30, oh, you should be married, you should have kids, you should have this and that.
Wow, the pressure's already setting in.
Because a lot of people that are my friends who are above 30 have been stressing out. Some of them are just like, oh, I wish I had my career set. I wish I did this. I wish I did that when I was 20. It's like a cycle of a rat race where they want to be in the finish line already, which I can understand because of societal pressure, the societal norms that we have that we've put on to people. The thing is that we don't even know how we are adulting in our 20s. So how can you expect to figure things out by the time you're 30?
And we are failing.
This doesn't mean that I'm disregarding the people who are young, in their teens or even 20s, who have found success through various means, like things like crypto, things like being an influencer, things like YouTube. People have made names for themselves, but this also results in other people to compare themselves in their journey of not being there, of not being able to make it.
Get used to disappointment.
As an Asian person, family expectations are really a thing. Family expectations are really harsh. In some Asian cultures, if I were to enlighten, you gotta be married by the time you're 20, by the time you're 25. Maybe 30 is even too old. Or that you should be graduated by now, by the time you're 25. You should have been engaged by now, or at least have kids.
Where's my ring?
It just baffles me because I had people in high school who I never really thought would have a stable life. Well, now they have kids, which is good, that's their life. But what this family expectation results in other people is burnout, being lost in life. I mean, I was one of those people who were considered gifted, talented, smart, because I am. But this resulted us to being burnt out because of the expectations that were placed upon us when we were very young. And I'm talking about like I excelled in piano, I excelled in all sorts of academic subjects when I was very young. It was not until then I didn't understand why I was so tired. It was not until then when my grades were starting to just go down a little bit. I was still trying, but I was just so exhausted and tired. And then it was not until years later I realized that it's not that I had no support, it's just that there was not enough support.
I do not feel supported here.
But there was more expectations to really fulfill. I don't know if I am making sense right now, but this is not what I expected my adult life to be. Because right now, I work in the film industry, and being a creative is never really easy. It's never really stable. If you are a freelancer or a contractor, you would understand this.
Pay that man his money.
Because you yourself have to constantly look for something. You have to look for the next big thing, and it's not that easy because in this competitive world, either you choose yourself to really dig yourself up from the ground, or you know people.
I get recognized anywhere.
Most of the time, it's not that you know people right away, unless you are a nepo baby, which some of us, me and my friends, kind of joke sometimes of like, what if we were nepo babies?
I am rich, bitch.
Yes, people will hate on us, but we are set. We don't have to worry about things. We don't have to worry about like, oh, can we be creative? Can we be in the academic sector? What is it? When I was younger, and until now, it was instilled in my head that, oh, if you follow the traditional route, then you'd be able to get a job after, find yourself settling, have a good home, and be successful that way. And I know that in this society, especially when you are young, you are always asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? A lot of the times, kids would give you an answer, right? Like a generic answer, maybe a doctor or a singer or whatever. If you tell someone that you want to be a doctor when you were very young, that's like, oh wow, that's great, that's amazing, right? You are following an academic traditional sector where you could be successful. But if you tell them that you want to be a singer, a dancer, this and that, it's kind of very volatile. It's like there's no job for that. You cannot get a job for that. How can you perform?
This is what my nightmares are like.
But we need those creative stuff. So why is it that the society tells us that, or the family tells us that that's kind of useless, you shouldn't go for that? But then the same people who consume entertainment, I think there's just a lot of fear that's been accumulated when you're a creative. I can't really blame people for that, because it's true that you don't really know when you're going to get a next job, or you don't know where you're actually gonna see yourself in the next few months. Unlike if you have a stable job, I'm not saying that job is always guaranteed, of course, in this job market right now, but being a creative has its fulfilling moments.
You know, it's great.
That's
I love
great.
it.
It's great.
Yeah.
One of my biggest examples is when I work on sets and I handle wardrobe or costuming. It's so good to see it on screen that it's just like, I did that. I get a credit for that. Or when I work as a set decorator, it's like, I did that. I moved that stuff around. I bought that. You know, I took the time to actually research that and see it on screen. The beauty of being a creative person is you can make something out of thin air.
The land of make-believe.
You can make a short film, you can make a song, you can make a choreography, and that's the beauty of it. I think the reason why I'm making this video is I just wanted to talk about, this is not the adult life I saw myself as. When I was very young, I was so ambitious with a lot of things. I still am, so I'm gonna pursue them in the future. It's just that in order to pursue things, you need money. Am I lying? No. That's just the reality of it. That's why people who are, for example, a Nepo baby, have accesses to these creative pursuits without having to worry when you're gonna work next. When are you gonna wake up at 4 a.m. and go to work or a job that you hate? But when I was really young, I really thought about being a psychologist or an archaeologist. I don't know why I thought about those. I think it's more fun to be an archaeologist, but when you look at it, it's a lot of paperwork files. It's not like, I mean, it's cool to be on a dig site, right? Doing all those like fun little things, but in reality it's a lot of paperwork, more than you can imagine. But I never really thought being in the film industry would cross my mind. I never really thought about that, because when I was young, I was always instilled that, oh, you could be a nurse, you could be a doctor. So most of the career path that I chose for myself when I was younger was somewhere in the medical field. I still remember this conversation I had with my auntie, and she's like, oh, why don't you do nursing? Like, look at the benefits of this, look at this and look at that. Like, you know, you could be settled by now. You could be settled by the time you're 30. I said, okay, like, I mean, that sounds enticing, but like, the question here is that, will I be happy?
Can't find it.
What you looking for?
My happiness.
I look at people around me, and when they tell me their profession, sometimes I ask, like, are you even happy at this job? Are you even happy doing the things you like? And oftentimes, well, I'm glad for the people who says, yes, I enjoy what I do. That's great. Like, I want that for people. I want more for that for people. But since I'm in the creative industry, right, a lot of people I ask, so why are you here? Why are you being an assistant in this production right now when you have a job somewhere else? And they're like, oh, I'm not happy there. I want something creative. I have friends who are in IT, who are biologists, who are like, they are pursuing psychology, they studied it for years, and now they're here in the creative field. Like, what are you doing? Nothing wrong with that. All I'm just saying is that we need more people who are passionate about creativeness.
There is no passion.
Who has that drive in this entertainment.
There is no vision.
I think a lot of reasons why people follow a set path too is not just because of the pressure from family, but also the stability, right? Like I mentioned before, if you had all the money in the world, you wouldn't have to worry about working. People who are in these set traditional jobs, they're there because it's just a setback. It's like you have something to fall on. Being in the creative industry, being a creative yourself does not guarantee you that. Unless you know people, unless there are things paying for whatever it is that you need. That's just the reality of it. Like I said, what I saw myself as a 9-year-old, I was like, oh, maybe I'll become a nurse by the time I was like in my 20s. Well, I remember I got asked this when I was young. I was like, oh, what do you want to be when you're older? When do you want to get married? How many children do you have? I'm like, chill. I'm a child myself. Why would I want children? Why would I want to think of children?
All kids are dicks.
That's true.
At the same time, too, I was taking care of children when I was a kid. That's just Asian culture. I'm sure a lot of cultures feel the same way. They when they're kids, they take care of other kids too. But as a thing, it sounded so easy. It sounded like you could achieve it, and yeah, you can. But it was just not what I exactly saw when I graduated high school. Actually, by the time I finished high school, I thought to myself, like, is this really the life path I wanted? Will I be happy? I don't know why I started questioning so many things. I had a very, very pivotal moment by the time I ended high school. Something really, really bad happened, and it made me something just clicked in my head, and I thought to myself, will I be happy? Will I be happy in a career that I actually don't want? Why am I making a decision right now? I am 17, for God's sakes. But then after that, I went to film school. So I didn't really regret it. It was fun. It was great. I met a lot of people. And honestly, if I were to go back to school now at my age, I'm not gonna put out my age out there, but if I were to go back to school at my age right now, I wouldn't feel like, oh, I'm too old that I've done this. It's just like, yeah, this is for my betterment. It's better that I do it at a time where I'm comfortable, that I have money for, instead of like doing it when I was very young and regret it later, because a lot of people regret it later.
How did I get into this mess?
For sure, I don't think I'm disappointing 9-year-old me for not following the set path that I thought I would have followed. I think she would have been much happier where I am right now. Obviously, I'm not where I want to be right now, but it's better that I'm not currently working at a hospital, tending patients.
Every hospital is a mental hospital, so you were probably in one too.
And I like to serve people. But still, would I be happy? I probably wouldn't, because I've taken so many odd jobs, I've taken so many jobs, and I would quit because I was just so unhappy. Why do people stay in things they're not happy with? Stability. Or when you have responsibilities, you can't just kind of like drop things off, quit, live your life as how you want. It's very difficult more for people who don't have access or who don't really see themselves as having something to fall back on, and that's understandable. So I don't know, I'm hoping that this video could reach some people who share the same sentiments. I'm sure that that's not how you saw your adult life to be. There were a lot of changes along the way, a lot of challenges, and that's good because you grow as a person and you see what you want. You decide that you could change yourself anytime. But that's it for now. I have nothing else to say. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.